India doesn't work as methodically as criminal justice works. The legal system is not as prompt as that, but you take those liberties because that's not the narrative of this kind of a show. And I can't emphasize enough how much Pankaj becomes a barometer for that. He becomes our metronome. Once he is working like that, we all want to, aspire to that as well. So it's awesome having that relationship with him. I'm just saying it as praise, but it's almost essential for this medium. We did 8 episodes in 48 days. I have no time to breathe.
All right, one of my favorite filmmakers is in studio and had to get him in. The latest edition, the latest season of Criminal Justice has just gone through the roof. Terrific writing, terrific screenplay, wonderful performances, and above all, Rohan Sippy at his absolute best. Please welcome Rohan Sippy on the success of Criminal Justice. It's still streaming as we speak, Jio Hotstar. So you ought to go and binge watch it. Hi, great to see you, man. How are you?
Yeah, great to be back, Hrishi. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, and I'm so pleased with how the audience has accepted criminal justice this particular season. Now, the thing is that obviously if you're a regular and you've enjoyed past seasons, you'll give it a shot. But there is no guarantee you're going to finish it. These days, the audience is very, very discerning.
And they did the weekly drop as well. So even more of a challenge to ensure completion.
Of a challenge. But people have just loved it completely. And in a lot of ways, it is, we've seen shades of Madhav Mishra, which is the principal protagonist played by Pankaj Tripathi. We've seen various shades of him in all these episodes you've done thus far. And this is almost like the culmination of all of them. And I'm not even saying this is the last season. I'm sure there's going to be more. But now here's the challenge for you guys. So tell me how you approach writing for something like this, which, is an adaptation, but it's got to be inherently Indian.
I think a lot of the credit for the writing goes to Applause and BBC, of course, because they really grapple with it for a long time. And I get it in a certain kind of cooked state. There's something for me to react to and then, of course, give feedback in. But I think the good thing is now, Sameer's been on the show from the beginning at Applause. BBC has been the same producer throughout. A lot of us are now returning alumni, so that makes it, we also start understanding, that's the beauty of doing something. You master it, understand what people are responding to, what you liked, this one maybe didn't work so well, so all of that evolution really helps, and it can only help if it's culminated with a guy like Pankaj, who's smart enough to understand that, he's building on it. And of course, it's such a personality-driven show that we need that to be the final point where people will really connect to the show. Then of course there's so much other stuff in it, but really the writing, I think, and it's credit to these guys. They took that bold decision in season 2. Madhav was not a continuing character in the British version of season 2, and that's when I think was the big call to take, and opening up his domestic life. Suddenly he's this runaway bridegroom, and Ratna shows up at his doorstep, and that whole thing brought another kind of level of quirk to it. And that's what I mean, like you realize people are enjoying that now. Okay, we have the confidence to take it further. Then Mehmanji comes, the following season. The Sala Jijaji is actually one of the great traditions in our theatre, and so it's a way repackaging of something that we connect to so much and is part of our culture in so many parts of the country. That and that's that judgment call, and then it comes to me, and then you react to it. Pankaj adds a little bit of his own tadka to it, his interpretation, and we end up with this interesting balance, which is, I think, has now become more of a Perry Mason kind of thing, where you really come first for Madhav Mishra, and you have a promise from him that you're going to really enjoy the ride and the world he takes you into.
Yeah, and what happens in this particular season is, there is a murder that transpires. But if you're coming to look for usual suspects, you do find Shweta Basu Prasad, who is a prosecution lawyer, and she's very eager for revenge. And that's another very interesting dynamic in the courtroom and outside, because in the beginning she doesn't get the case, and she's actually fighting. And it's quite interesting to see that here's this lawyer who she thinks she's going to trump, but he always gets the better of her in some way or the other. So that's an interesting courtroom dynamic. Also, another courtroom dynamic that I found interesting is, as part of the battery of defense lawyers, which is Madhav Mantri's people, is Barkha Singh's character. And Barkha's mother, played by Meeta Vashisht, is a very eminent lawyer who wants, hey, my daughter should have more pedigree, should come and work with my law firm. But the daughter promptly goes and works with Madhav. And that must have been interesting. I want your comment on the law scheme of things before we come to other stuff.
Yeah, no, that was great fun. And the one major complication that added more interest to this season, I think, was now going to be two defense attorneys.
Yeah.
At kind of the interval point of the show, we realized that Surveen's character is now, Anju Nagpal, is now going to pursue her own defense. So that really, now you got an all-star game. You've got Meeta also involved against her daughter in one sense, and Shweta as well. So Meeta's, of course, so great to work with, and she's the OG of criminal justice as well from season 1.
Yep, correct.
So this really became like that kind of culmination in that sense of using all the best cards we had and finding a very organic way to use them all. So I think the law part, I rely a lot on the research and all that comes in, but of course it's India doesn't work as methodically as criminal justice works. The legal system is not as prompt as that, but you take those liberties because that's not the narrative of this kind of a show. But I think having all these, and for me as a director, just having these powerful actors in one scene, getting that back and forth, because you're looking at these courtroom scenes, we did literally probably 100 pages in 7 days, so it's madness. And then you're looking at, it's a lot of talk. So, what is going to lift it up is the performance, is the actor, and then of course we can help out and shoot it as best we can. But then it's real reassuring for me to know that not just Pankaj, but we've got Meeta and also Shweta, all who have now come into their own. They've also understood the character. They've done it. So like Pankaj, they have a comfort and are willing to take more risks, push things more. So that becomes more and more fun. It's like a band getting back together, and you can get great vibes off the bat.
Well said. And really, all of you who are fans of the show will identify with this. I mean, just like you have the Harvard and Eton educated lawyers who come from abroad, or pedigreed lawyers whose grandfathers and great-grandfathers have been in law firms and it's been handed down to them as entitlement. They're on one side, and the other end of the spectrum is the small-town lawyer. Guys like Madhav Mishra, played by Pankaj Tripathi, who have built themselves up from maybe Mufassil towns, then moved to the big city, started work at sessions courts, then moved up to the High Court. So it's very interesting seeing that dynamic of privilege versus non-privilege, and how the screenplay and his acting prowess make sure that he carves a niche for himself, and he's become a force to reckon with as a lawyer.
Yeah, no, that's the great thing, that he can still be that 4 seasons down, having won his cases. We still managed to pitch him that way, and that exactly what you said, that idea of this small town guy, it is a lovely narrative, but it also helps us really broaden the appeal, because otherwise a legal show can be a bit dry. It's not necessarily a mass kind of thing, but just because our lens is Madhav Mishra, and he adds so much to it, which is not plot driven, but you just fall in love with him. Like I remember in season 3, there's just a moment where he's staring out at the beach on Mud Island with his Sala, and he's looking out and he's talking about Bombay or something. He says, "Tumhare Bihar mein samundar hota hai?" So they're establishing this hierarchy that now I'm a Mumbaikar. So that is such a beautiful way to grab Madhav Mishra in a nutshell. And that is something we improvised. He came up with, and it just adds so much. You have to do everything well, but when you find these little hidden nuggets, that really feels special, because and this medium's about character. Even more than film, it's like the greatest shows we've loved have had those characters returning 15 years, 20 years, whatever. They become part of your life, and I hope Madhav is slowly becoming that for a lot of our audience here.
What Rohan said at the beginning of this interview was very strategic, and it's so correct. He talked about how in India, there is a mama-bhanja relationship, which is your uncle and you, and the uncle and the nephew is always supposed to be more friends than anything else. And the uncle always bloods his nephew into all the mischievous things first. And then in India is the brother-in-law relationship, whereby the man of the house is suddenly confronted with his wife's brother, who can be quite a pest. And in this particular case, the guy is actually working with him, is a bit of an imbecile, but is never short of giving it back to him in terms of remarks, which I found pretty fascinating. Did you find these actors through the casting process? Also, Madhav's wife in the series, her profession is she opens a spa which she shares an office with him, manicures and pedicures and this and that. And now I don't know if she's been promoted or demoted. She's driving a fancy car, a Jeep, and then, a Maruti van.
They're moving on. The Mishras are moving on.
Yeah, so talk to me about that casting of the wife and the Salad.
Credit to the casting director for both. We saw tapes of a lot of actors, and first, of course, Khushbu came in, and everyone loved her tape. But I think she was very fresh at that time. She's from Indore originally, and she came in and. We had confidence that she would do it because we could see that on tape, but it's another thing to be, in a schedule on set with Pankaj. And he then made the biggest difference. He made us so comfortable. It was just, in the readings we had beforehand and on set as well. And that was the first scenes we shot of season 2 were with her. So, just from the outset to make her comfortable and get the best out of her. And he's one of the most generous actors. He'll always look for ways to make the other actor look good because he knows that lifts the scene and that is good for him, and it's good for the show. So I think that really helped set the tone for her. She got that confidence and now she's contributing and thinking of things all the time. And similarly, Atma Prakash came out of the casting process. We liked his tape, and again, very similar. And I remember season 3, almost every day that we were shooting with both of them, you'd see him sitting with Pankaj. They'd be talking, maybe running through the scene, discussing things, maybe talking about life sometimes as well. But that kind of thing, it's not in your contract. It's just as you as a human being, as an actor, you relate to stuff that way, which Pankaj does, thankfully. And these little things make all the difference. When you're treating it like a team thing, you're giving everyone the respect and the opportunity to show their best side, that really helps, And I can't emphasize enough how much Pankaj becomes a barometer for that. He becomes our metronome. Once he is working like that, we all want to, aspire to that as well. So it's awesome having that relationship with him.
I did say to Rohan during our season 1 and season 2, or past season interviews, saying criminal justice has really changed the linguistic tone, the linguistic frequency, demeanor for Hindi movies and Hindi OTT shows, in that there's no unnecessary dramatization. All these long pages of courtroom scenes he's talking about, there are no huge flourish dialogues. This is so real. It's like any courtroom anywhere in this country where people are having arguments, discussions, but no one's making very grand, table thumping kind of statements. The only guy who's thumping the table is the judge when he's calling for some silence. And you can credit yourself with that. I mean, I say that again. It's really changed the whole dynamic of courtroom scenes. And I think you approach it more not as an area of great drama, but more about, hey, how is this going to take the story forward?
Yeah, and I think if it's there on the page, I think your experience as a director is learning when to do things and when to not need to do things, So I've got a great actor who's going to communicate the line and the intent of the line nicely. Okay, then maybe just a simple camera movement is what I need to do. I don't need him to also now, because then the whole pitch of the show shifts. And, again, it was based on a British show, so there is this inherent naturalism or whatever you want to call it, a less theatrical approach to the storytelling. So, and I think that separates it from other shows in India, and that becomes a fresh thing because it's wonderful. I love seeing, other legal shows which have colorful characters. Ravi Kishan's done a wonderful one.
Yeah, Mamla Legal, yeah.
Yeah, so that I enjoy as well, but the beauty is you don't have to copy each other. Find
True.
the tone that is true for you,
Also, a wonderful ensemble of new entrants into criminal justice. Mohammad Zishan Ayub, one of the finest actors of our times, plays a surgeon. Surveen Chawla, who I find absolutely hauntingly beautiful. She can have no makeup on. She can play somebody who's gone to prison for 2 days and you'll still not take your eyes off her. She's terrific. And Asha Negi, who's actually a bona fide TV star. I mean, she would get mobbed anywhere in this country. The success she's had on television. Very strong personalities, even before the acting. When you see their personas on screen, it's very powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, that becomes, with doing more and more shows, you realize how much you need that. You need the casting to be right, and that actor to just have that it quality, which now nails it, because that helps your storytelling so much that you can do it with one look, all of that. And all three you mentioned, Zishan, absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad this is the first chance we got to work together. Surveen, I think whatever you say won't be adequate, because she's just wonderful, and again has developed such a great instinct for understanding things. We would work so quickly and get to the same page, and of course she added so much to it. And Asha, I loved the casting of Asha. I can take no credit for it. I think that was a bit of an initiative from the Geo side, wanting to kind of integrate a popular actor from television, a really wide audience, and I think that worked out well. But such a different character for her. And again, she came in completely open, ready to do whatever we thought we could come up with, and she kind of holds the show together. It's this mystery of this woman, what happened that night, and you kind of unravel her character. So you need that little bit of enigma on her face, all of that, and and the rest, of course, we'll do in the storytelling. But having that at the nucleus again really helped. So that first episode, which always a little tricky, there's so much setup, so what is going to hold you? It's going to be these guys. There's something about them there's something that's beneath that we're not quite getting to know, that we are going to take that ride of 8 episodes for.
A couple of actors that I have to talk about. One is the lady who plays Mrs. Nagpal, which is Mohammad Zishan Ayub's mother. What character in the face. I mean, she's playing a senior citizen. She is a senior citizen. But very, very interesting. I mean, there is a scene where she's going to pray in a gurdwara, and immediately you see people next to her, in front of her, behind her, trying to maintain a distance because of what her son is involved with. I don't want to give any spoilers. And, she's looking at them through the corner of her eye and just reacting, and I thought there was just great acting chops. And this girl who plays Zishan and Surveen's daughter, somebody who's has a condition, who has Asperger's syndrome. Please tell me about them.
Yeah, well, both again wonderful. This is the second time I got to work with Sohaila Kapoor, who's playing his mum. She is actually a journalist by profession, and kind of someone offered her a chance to act, and I think it's something she's enjoyed doing, so she's now picked it up more and more. A little trivia for you is she is Shekhar Kapoor's sister.
Ah.
And so I'd done she had done a small bit in another show I'd done a couple of years ago, and so when this part came up, I suggested her, and Applause was more than happy to go ahead with that. And yeah, again, not only on screen has she got that presence and understood the thing, and there's this again, you can't act this, but you just have this kind of presence, the eyes, the kind of there's this slight haunted, kind of very intense kind of quality she has, and that really worked for us. So yeah, glad to get her. And then on the other extreme, a young girl like Khushi Bhardwaj, again one of the parts we must have tested, I don't know, maybe 20, 50, 100, I can't remember how many tests I saw of this one, and there was just something in the first round itself. He spotted her and said, yeah, that's the one to really keep an eye out on, and we called her in, and again understood it so well, came in so well prepared. It's you feel almost it's like cheating to have because the one of the great anecdotes a senior actor I was working with recently told me, he says, "Bachcha aur kutta ke saath kaam mat karna." So what happens is if they're terrible, you're going to get bajawed, and if they're good, तुम्हें कोई नहीं.
Yeah, they take the credit.
So as prepared as going to be, but again, so pleasantly surprised that she really just understood it so well, and there was just a bit of fine tuning and just working with the other actors to get it right. But and it's one thing to. I'm just saying it as praise, but it's almost essential for this medium. We did 8 episodes in 48 days. I have no time to breathe. So, you don't even have the luxury of saying, okay, it's a child actor, so I'm going to have 6 hours instead of 3 hours, to do the scene. So now you're really relying on this young girl to come in and be in front of people like Pankaj, like Surveen, and do her scene like a professional.
And the condition that she has in the show, which is she cannot make eye contact with people.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to do, especially for a young child actor. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
tremendous job.
Yeah, stunning. And with the least kind of fuss. She's just such a pleasant presence to be around as well. So just it's wonderful. It just makes all the difference.
The portrayal of the police and police officers in this modern day and age is something that I'm very proud of. Back in the 80s and 90s, when we were growing up, the cops would always come after everything's over. With the rare exception of, one Iftikhar Saab or, and
right.
Dilip Kumar would play a cop or Sanjeev Kumar would play a cop. Who would know that better than you? But the truth of the matter is that more often than not, the police force was not portrayed in very flattering terms by the Indian movie fraternity. 9 times out of 10, it will be sab khatam ho gaya, police aa gayi hai, siren baj raha hai. This modern era, I love the realistic portrayal of the police force, and even somebody like a Rohit Shetty who makes a very stylized portrayal of the police force. I think it's showing them in the light that they deserve. And these 2 cops are just so good. I mean, the lady cop, Gauri, she plays
Kalyani Mule.
Kalyani Mule is so good. She has the most intense eyes. She and Meeta Vashisht, of course. And the guy who plays her husband, I mean, they're separated.
Ajit Singh Palawat, yeah.
Ajit Singh Palawat, who I've seen in the theatre a lot.
An incredible power on stage.
Very powerful. And it's so wonderful to see, sincere, honest, razor-sharp cops who are not only adept at interrogation, but also adept at finding the murder weapon.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely right. Again, it's almost like having a cheat code, being able to have Kalyani and Ajit. So I'll talk about the actors first, and they're both fantastic. So, and what was lovely is continuing that dynamic, which was in season 2, which was the breakdown of the marriage, and the theme of season 2 was abusive relationships. So that reflection on one of the cops who's involved in the case, that played out, and we got to bring a reflection of that in this season. So that was really nice to build on that dynamic. And I think, but the first thing you said is, I think, extremely important. I think it's not an obligation for everyone. For me personally, I do have a lot of regard for people, the men and women who put on uniforms in this country. I think that's takes a lot of courage, and you're really jumping into a pit where there's so many things against you. So I think if there's anything, if you're going to portray them, I think we should show the side which they do have, and we must encourage to see more and more of. I don't think it's an easy target to look down and criticize and portray negatively people who are doing these hard jobs, and that's not something that it never resonates with me. And like you mentioned, my dad with Sanjeev Kumar in Sholay, Dilip Kumar in Shakti, he's portrayed them so amazingly, and you can bring all the drama in. It doesn't mean whitewashing anything. That can be heart-wrenching as far as drama and conflict goes, but doesn't mean that they're anyway less heroic, for that. So I think it's good that Applause and BBC had that take even before I got on board, and I was happy to help build that.
So, are you missing working on a feature? You seem to be really well entrenched in the series market. You're doing so well. So many of your shows are getting people who are watching it. But are you missing working on a feature?
You definitely. The short answer is yes. I'm working on a couple of scripts. We'll see how quickly we can get those, into production. But the thing is, I'm extremely grateful for these last few years where I've been given incredible opportunity. There's such different genres, everything from like a multicam sitcom to show like Criminal Justice to Mithya. Just the ability to use what I've learned and build on it, keep learning a lot more, has been unbelievable to work with, I mean, the number of actors of incredible talent I've worked with, everyone from Pankaj to there's Huma in Mithya, I've worked with KK in Shekhar Home, that it just, there's not, I could go on for a long time, but work with them, you do get to work with them on feature films, but you don't get that screen time for characters like this normally in a feature film. So to get that chance to expand their exposure to an audience is also great fun. So absolutely no complaints if I end up doing more shows. But yeah, I'd love to get one of my films back. Get back on the floor with that. But, the thing is, you're trying to think of a similar quality, so it's not that different either. So it's
true. But at the end of the day, it's heartening to see any movie doing well in theaters. Especially your generation, my generation. We grew up in the arc lights, in those dark theaters, building a wonderful world for ourselves, as well as what the filmmakers built for us. And I wonder what you think of course, the fact that Sayyara is such a big hit, much needed, and Aamir now deciding to go straight to YouTube for $100 a pop.
Yeah, I think
it's quite a surprise.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, Sayyara, of course, is the story of the year, if not beyond that. It's it's a steroid shot. It's a great injection for the industry.
And I'm very happy for Mohit, because for the longest time he was, I wouldn't say in the wilderness, but he was doing stuff, but nothing that was doing justice to him as a talented filmmaker.
Absolutely no. But listen, he's had two kind of moonshots, in the last 10, 12 years. Ashiki and then this. I mean, there's. I think, of course, it's always great to see someone at the top of their game, and just a reception to a film with new actors, made with the right intention. Put out. Again, not getting too distracted with the way you promote something. Let's make a film, put all our eggs in that basket, and just phenomenal from places like Bihar and all across the country. You're seeing numbers that are beating the big Starcast films, and that just reminds people of what this business is about, which you forget. Every Friday teaches you different lessons, and these are the most important ones. Make film you believe in, and the results can be extraordinary, and if you'd taken known actors in that, you would not have got this result. That's the magic of this business.
True.
And so you've got two new talents in the industry, that the audiences will now probably will give them a few chances to further entertain them. And that's what we need, So most exciting time to have a hit like that this year.
What about Aamir? Straight after Sitare Zameen Par is a big hit in the theaters. He goes straight to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to test out, the business model. It is obviously that is a big thing to talk about, and it's not easy to tackle something when things slide to a way where now it's almost a standard practice that within 8 weeks you're going to see the film at home.
Correct.
So that does lead to a kind of a muscle memory for the audiences, where you're saying, okay, if we know that's coming in 8 weeks, do we really need to step outside? Do we really need to spend that money and that inconvenience of going there, especially when all the technology is at home, right? So I think that is a big question that the industry has to tackle wholesale. But this is, I think, his way of addressing it is and hats off for taking that risk, because obviously any platform would have signed on with him, given him a deal which is. Now we'll know whether it's more lucrative or not. That only time will tell. But to take that risk and to set a signal that that there is scope to make change. I think sometimes out of a financial convenience, okay, it's great, and okay, I can understand why the platform's also saying 8 weeks. They're paying good money for it. So the earlier they get it, the more they can market it and get people excited to watch it. So that's that catch-22 that we have to grapple with and find the right balance if you want to keep cinema viewing alive.
So, what do you most like doing when you're not making a movie, you're working on a script?
That's thinking about how I can get back to making a movie or shooting.
So, when you're not working on something, you're thinking of something.
Yeah, that's the tragedies of freelance life is that. No, but I think cooking is something I try to do once in a while, which is great fun. And
what is a mean dish that you can rustle up?
Well, a good buffalo steak, basically.
Very nice. Yeah.
I just love the beauty of it. There's meat and heat. That's about it. You know, it's such a basic thing that you just put very little salt or whatever it is, and it's just you and the fire and figuring out when to get it off the flame. So that is my go-to comfort food. But yeah, all kinds of stuff is otherwise fun. I used to, you know, a lifetime ago I used to bake bread, so I've been doing that a few times recently. So that's also very therapeutic and enjoyable, you know. So except now these days you're told not to eat carbs and all of that. So so we restrict that.
And man, India is going nuts with concerts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Maroon 5 came in, Ed Sheeran came in, Guns N' Roses came in, and there was a 2-day Lollapalooza festival, Bandland the festival,
Yeah,
and then
and our daughter's alerting me. Travis Scott is coming.
Travis Scott is coming.
Her generation is crazy for him.
yeah, and of course the Indian boys, whether it's an Arijit Singh or a Vishal Mishra or an AP Dillon or a Diljit, they're filling up arenas, stadiums worldwide.
So my sister lives in the Bay Area in San Francisco. So a few years ago I went to visit. Well, there are two parts. But my wife, she has a dear friend from college who's a fantastic violin player who she plays on Broadway, and she got this gig to come and be with Arijit's live performance tour of America. So that's one part of it. And then I talked to my sister and she said, yeah, friends of us are they're going crazy for Arijit and like spending thousands of dollars on a ticket. You know, it's like, this is beyond rockstar, you know, and it's so great to see, because I mean, I think also that's probably post-COVID, this thing of desire of wanting to go experience things is at a premium, and that's a challenge that cinema has, right? You're not offering a live thing, but that's what we got to really be. It's fragile, you know. We got to keep that in mind when we're putting it out there, you know, all of this. You know?
So have you managed to go to a concert, or you're not good with crowds?
Yeah, well, I went to the first or second Lollapalooza, which was in the Bay Area
in
1993, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
I was with Jane's Addiction and Ice-T and Body Count and Susie and the Banshees from, you know, like 6 or 7 fantastic acts there. So at that time I used to like crowds, but now my daughter's gone with her mother a couple of times, so I think I'm overdue for
to go to the Mahalakshmi race course or whatever it is.
Yeah, the next one.
Yeah.
So I then I got into jazz, you know. So I used to love going to small clubs and seeing these incredible performers, you know, for a couple of hours, these great sets but those would be like 50 people, 100 people, you know, those are the kind of places that I really, really enjoyed. I got to see Zakir Hussain and Ustad Allah Rakha together in the Bay Area. You know, I think it was his 75th birthday, like again about 30 years ago. So if you ask me, that's the kind of live stuff I love. But I'll go to these two.
Wonderful. Did you do a travel wrap, as in after criminal justice got over, did you go and take a small vacation somewhere?
Yeah, luckily it coincided with a couple of months after that. Went to Vietnam and Bangkok, so that was a first time for us to visit an incredible country. I don't know if you've
I've been to Vietnam, and I'm very pleased to say that I had just the most wonderful experience there.
Incredible. It's 50 years this year, you know, that since, you know, the Vietnam War ended. And the transformation in 50 years, it's incredible to see a country that was so battered, you know.
And you know, you go to the Vietnam Museum, and you feel so much pain. Yeah, and then you realize that they're still happy. The people on the roads are still happy. It's remarkable after everything that they've gone through.
You know, there was a tour guide I was with. He taught himself English from YouTube. You're seeing all these young people who are just like, you know, very positive and really taking steps to, you know, better themselves. And very inspiring to see a country like that, you know, that shows that with the right will, you know, you can get a lot done. It was a great experience.
I have a sweet tooth, so I love the Vietnamese coffee. But people who don't have a sweet tooth will always say too much milk made.
Yeah, when I was in college, I used to love having that. Now I've learned to drop the sugar from it. But even all their food.
Did you go to Halong Bay?
No, I went to Ho Chi Minh. And
yeah.
then we went to Da Nang and Hoi An. Because I guess the monsoon season, the west coast is more rainy, so we decided to go east.
True. Lovely. So there you have it. Rohan Sippy directs Criminal Justice. The latest season is out on Jio Hotstar. It is absolutely a smash hit. I highly advocate you guys go and binge watch it, and many congratulations on your success, Rohan. And I haven't asked you about any future projects because I know that things are watertight in the business.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to give away anything until official announcements are made. But needless to say, Rohan is already neck deep and has dug his teeth into some very interesting stuff that he shot, filmed, ready. So we hope to have him back in studio very soon. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Hrishi.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
94.3 Radio 1.